Hello, everyone. I'm Danyel Rogers, creator of Warrior Women Portraits. Today, I'm speaking with the incredible warrior Kelly. Words are really hard. Oh, welcome, Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk about your situation, your double mastectomy, what led you to it. So without further ado, why don't you start and tell us kind of how things began? Because your story is a little bit different than some.
A little bit different. I'm not actually a breast cancer survivor. I am a breast cancer previvor. So that means I discovered very unexpectedly that I carry the BRCA2 gene,
Hmm.
which significantly increases my chance for breast cancer.
Right.
Initially, my doctors wanted me to just do, mammograms and various things to check it, but I had such incredibly dense breast tissue that
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't really tell me if they were seeing anything in there or not.
Yeah.
So that made the decision for me to get rid of my breasts very easy because I couldn't handle the fear of every 6 months going in and are they going to find something or
Right.
are they going to miss something because they can't see it?
And then is the fear of that going to bring on cancer anyways, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah.
So it was a pretty easy decision for me to make to do the mastectomy, and I my cancer odds were in the high 80s, like 88, 89%
Wow.
chance of getting breast cancer, and I mean, you can't get much closer to 100 than that. That's a pretty sure bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why wait for it? Just
Sure.
beat it to the punch.
Hmm.
So,
Did you have any pushback from your doctors or insurance for that matter?
insurance, no. Oddly enough, the only pushback I got from my doctors was my gynecologist who performed my hysterectomy. So
Okay.
part of BRCA2 is also a greatly increased risk of ovarian cancer.
Right.
So I also did a total hysterectomy. My gynecologist who did my hysterectomy and was very on board and supportive of my hysterectomy was really gave me some pushback about the mastectomy when I told her I was doing that as well. She just
Interesting.
couldn't uh,
She
couldn't
was
imagine a woman without breasts.
interesting. It's like, I'll take your ovaries, but
And
that's
I did
interesting.
all of it. She took everything down there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, I've got pretty much nothing left, and she was fine taking all that from me. But the
Right.
idea of a woman removing her breasts was just she's the only one I really got pushback from. My friends
That's
and family were all supportive, and the
yeah,
rest of my doctors were all supportive, and then thankfully insurance was super
good.
easy.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that always isn't always the case, right? You have to fight, like you always try
Yes.
and tell the insurance, like it's going to be so much more expensive if you don't do this preventative,
Mm-hmm.
surgeries and stuff. So, go for it. So that's really amazing that,
Yeah.
they were on the insurance. Like that's one obstacle that, a lot of people have to struggle with. So that's
I've heard
great.
stories from other
Yeah.
people, and so I was very relieved to not have that fight on my hands, in addition to going through
All
everything
that stuff.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you, did you recover okay from like the hysterectomy, and then also the double mastectomy? How did the healing process go for you there?
So mine was a little more complicated because I did the surgeries 2 weeks apart.
Oh yeah.
So I did mastectomy, and then 2 weeks later I did the total hysterectomy. So it was a lot all at once. But
Right.
as a massage therapist, I knew I wasn't going to be able to work after
Right.
either surgery. So why do one, take a big chunk of time off, and then do another? So
Yeah.
I do regret a little bit in hindsight now making them so close together because it
Yeah.
was a lot to go through. The
Yeah.
the hysterectomy in particular, the gas they put in your abdomen
Oh
was,
yeah.
I had about 3.5, 4 days of intense pain and
Oh
not being able to use my arms, not being able to use my core. Basically, like,
yeah.
from the knees
You're
down was
just
the only
like
thing I could use. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was a challenging couple days.
So,
So,
well, with you being a massage therapist, that has to be because I No, it took me a long time to get range of motion back in my arms and in my chest. Was
Yes.
that, I mean, I'm assuming you had to work pretty hard to just make that happen just to be able to work, you know.
Yes.
I at least, could sit at my desk and, do things like that. But massage therapy, like, you're constantly using your arms and your chest muscles, and you don't
Hmm.
realize how much you use your chest muscles until you do something like a double
Until they hurt
mastectomy.
that much. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So
Um,
how did that work? Like,
I knew it was going to be an issue going into all of it. So, like, even before the surgeries, I had my surgeon recommend physical therapists for me. And I also have a massage therapist I see.
mhm,
So I got her timeline for that. And basically, as soon as she released me to do massage and physical therapy, I was in doing both of those things.
nice,
And
nice.
then, of course, being a massage therapist, I could massage my own scars, and
Absolutely.
so, but it was
It's
still 4 months,
yeah.
almost four, just shy of 4 months before I could go back to work.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember my surgeon after my double mastectomy. I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna crochet." Sitting there just doing little movements like this. And then I ended up getting this huge seroma. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm literally just sitting on the couch crocheting." And she's like, "Stop it." Like this little movement is like, and I'm like, "How is
Yep.
that possible that just this little bit, can be such a big impact?" So I can't even imagine the difference what it would be to actually be able to use force, in massage
Yep.
to be able to do that. Um, so kudos to you, because I feel like it took me like a good 6+ months to feel semi like I could do anything like pick something up off the top shelf, right?
Hmm. I definitely didn't go back full time right away. I went
Okay.
back very part time at 4 months. It was probably about 6 months before I was back full time.
Okay. Was there something specific as far as massage that you really found beneficial? As a massage therapist, I'd be really curious since you had that knowledge base, if there was something that you felt like, because I know I had some cording that happened and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So, massage is a huge part of that, and as well as your lymphatic system.
Yeah. So the three primary things I did were massaging the scar tissue, which that's super simple. There's videos all over online. Anybody can massage their own scars. The lymphatic drainage, and then nerve flossing to help with my cording.
Oh,
So I
nerve,
would massage the cording itself, but then I would
right.
also do nerve flossing to help relax that area.
Interesting. Nerve
So
flossing.
nerve
I just
flossing,
can't
yep,
picture it. That's why we leave it to the professionals.
yep. So those three
Awesome.
things I did at least every day, if not multiple times a day.
Okay. I mean, it totally makes sense because,
Hmm.
even if I don't stretch, regularly, it all starts to tighten back up and stuff like that. So I can totally,
Yeah,
um,
I've really, with the broken ankle the last couple months, I've neglected some of my other stuff. And
yeah,
now I'm sitting here like, dang it, I'm all tight again. I have to
yeah,
start back over and stretch and massage, and yeah.
absolutely. I'd be curious, and if this is too personal, please, we can totally go past it. But being a previvor, do you find that the breast cancer community of women are supportive of that because you haven't officially had a breast cancer diagnosis, and it was more preventative?
Um, in our particular flattie world,
Hmm.
I've been very accepted. I haven't
Good.
had anyone, at least who has openly, kind of
Sure.
discredited me or made me seem less.
Right.
But outside the flatty world, I have had several women who are, basically like, "Oh,
You don't
you don't
qualify,
even,
right?
yeah, you don't qualify. You aren't even part of this group." And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
so
and I mean, I can imagine just, even as a surprise of your doctor not being super supportive of your double mastectomy to, on the flip side, have, women that have gone through it not feel like you have officially met all the criteria to be in the club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my, in my look at it is you would have been in the club had you not done it. And so like there is no right or wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And if a woman can keep themselves from having a life threatening, something that could literally take your life away, then absolutely, like I
Yeah.
would totally advocate for that.
I think if you
So
asked any breast cancer survivor, if you had known before you got cancer that you were going to get cancer,
yeah,
would you have done something about it?
yeah,
How many people would say no to that?
yeah, yeah. And it's all a personal choice. And
Mm-hmm.
some people, I mean, even those that have gone through the cancer diagnosis, we're all different. We all have different mindsets. But it's interesting that you've mentioned the flattie community, because I just love them. There's such a unique and welcoming group that
Mm-hmm.
I feel absolutely blessed to um, just have connected. Is there anything on that side that you have found that is just kind of like it's added to your life because you've made this choice in a positive way?
Um, I don't really have any negatives to
Yeah,
say about it. It's just everything for me has kind of been a positive, and maybe that's mindset
sure.
and how I've viewed it, but for me, everything has kind of been a positive.
Yeah. And it's that's amazing. And I think that, when you have choices and you decide what your choices are, and if they're fulfilled, there's a lot easier way of accepting and just feeling like you've made all the right choices, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I know I always like I always said, when I get cancer, breast cancer, not if. And I don't have the BRCA2 gene, and I just always felt that way. Um, and so, I always told my husband, I'm like, enjoy them while they're here because they're going away when I get breast cancer. So,
Oddly, I always said the same thing before I
yeah,
ever knew I had the gene.
yeah,
I spent 7 years working, giving free massages, volunteering with our local cancer resource center.
awesome.
So, massaging all kinds of cancer patients for free,
Right,
and working in particular with a lot of breast cancer survivors.
right.
And something about that experience just kind of made me feel sure that I was going to be in that group someday.
Yeah, yeah,
And I actually knew from that point many years ago that when it happened, I always thought of it as when, not
when,
if.
yeah,
When it
yeah,
happened, I knew I was going flat.
yeah,
So when I found out I had the BRCA2 gene and that, mastectomy was pretty much the way to go for me, there was
sure.
no hesitation. Didn't even have to look into the reconstruction options. It was just, nope, I want to be
Yeah.
flat.
That's pretty much. I told my breast surgeon the same thing. She's like, "Do you want to talk to a plastic surgeon?" I'm like, "Nah, I got,
No, nope.
you got me. I got,
Uh-huh.
I trust you." And she's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm good." And
Mm-hmm.
legally, they kind of have to, give you your choices, which is fantastic. But yeah, I was just as sure as you were. I was like, "Nope, this is
Nope.
totally fine."
Take them away.
Is there anything different about your body now that you don't have breasts that you didn't realize was like just a part of your body that you just didn't realize looked that way until you got rid of your shelf of
We talked about like your ribs, kind of that like ski slope thing. I
Yeah,
have very uneven ribs, which I had
okay,
no idea of. So I have like random ribs, just single ribs that stick out further than the others. So I look
interesting.
very kind of lumpy and bumpy, and it's
Yeah,
not my scars or,
yeah,
dog ears or fat or anything. It's
no,
my ribs. And I had
yeah,
no idea they were all that uneven and weird.
yeah, yeah, no, I mean my left side is more slopey than the right side, so my kids must have just kind of hovered over here.
Yep.
So yeah, I can totally understand that. I actually had another warrior mention that her equilibrium and like her balance was off because she was so used to having a larger chest that she leaned forward or backwards to compensate. And so once she removed her breasts, she was just like had to kind of refigure out where her balance was. So
Mm-hmm.
I find it just really interesting to talk to ladies and be like, hey, what did you think? Is there something that you noticed? Because there always is, the doctors can tell you all the things, but everybody's body's different, so you
Yep.
just never know. Well, let's talk about your warrior session. Gosh, when did we do your session? Was it December? No, November.
October.
Oh my gosh, October. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know. I only remember it because it was the day before my sister's birthday.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would think like, oh yeah, just a couple months
Oh,
ago.
yeah. Awesome. Well, what made you decide to sign up?
It was actually very shortly after my surgery. I was still very much in the recovery phase when you started posting your very first, I think it might have been your first session that you did with somebody. And
Okay.
I was like, holy crap, that is amazing. I am doing that.
That's awesome.
And I had my heart set on that. I knew without a doubt that as soon as my scars were healed enough, I
Yeah.
was going to be in there doing it.
That's amazing. And so if you were super excited, were you nervous about showing up? Because I know a lot of ladies are like, one, you're walking into a strange place, but you're also going in like not really, not like you have a concept, but you really don't know what you're walking into. So were you nervous?
I was a little nervous, just like I hate being in front of a camera normally.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, how is this gonna go? Am I gonna just like do stupid things and
Which we
end
do
up
at
looking
times.
dumb?
There is that option. I mean, I'm sure if anybody filmed me from the behind the camera, they'd be like, "Oh my God, Danielle, what are you doing?" And you came right in with a look, and it looked fantastic. You just dove right in. And do you do makeup on yourself a lot? Because I know some people that kind of
No.
hinders them a little bit because they're not really that experienced. You did great.
Yeah, I don't typically wear makeup at all. Two or
Nice.
three times a year for super special occasions and
Yeah,
that's it. So
yeah.
I did practice that look prior to the session.
And you did
'Cause,
your own hair too, yeah?
yep. Hmm.
Yeah, you showed up and I'm like, well, geez, she's like already looking so badass. Like, this is amazing. And your braids, and you had all the accoutrements in your hair that I actually have available to ladies, but you already had it all done. I'm like, fantastic. So, how about I know it's unnerving to be in front of the camera, but how were you feeling about the actual photo shoot itself?
Once it actually started, I just enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
You make it so easy with the directions and tell me what to do, and I never had to doubt myself or be like,
Yeah.
what do I do? Am I doing it wrong? You just made me feel strong and confident, and we just flowed from one to the next and
Yeah. Just
changed out
give you no time to
costumes
think
and
about it, right? Don't think
yeah,
about it. We're just gonna go in and just
just
play and
go
have
and do
fun. Yeah, some of it works, some of it doesn't, and
and
as
yeah,
long as we have fun doing it,
and
it's
that's
great.
exactly what it was. It was just all fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a day of dress up, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Haven't done that since I was a kid.
I know, right? And probably not in this way.
No.
Well, you were able to just recently view your images. What do you think? I know it's really hard. We're really self-conscious and particular about our own looks. So I would be interested to hear how you felt looking at them for the
I
first time.
thought for sure going into this that like there were going to be images I just hated
Yeah.
because, I don't like being behind a camera typically, which often means that pictures of me are pretty horrible. And
Okay.
I fully expected, despite your skills, to
Sure.
find pictures of myself that I was like, no, I don't like that. And there wasn't. There
Good.
wasn't a single picture where I looked at it and went, oh man, no, take it away, go away. They were all great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that because I know we're our worst critic.
Uh-huh.
And even myself being behind the camera, like my husband was like, you need to do this too. Like you're a warrior as well. And I'm like, I know, but I got to do them first. And then we did it. And I was like, it's really the first time I looked at images and wasn't thinking like, how could I change this in Photoshop? Like, how could I improve my neck or, my belly or whatnot? And it was just like straight out of the camera. I was like, I'm pretty badass. Like, this is pretty cool. And I think it's, seeing us as a character of some sort, like we are warriors, but like we're not, I don't know, your typical like smile, like,
Uh-huh.
so it takes you out of that norm. And we'll actually at some point, at somewhere, put a couple of your pictures up for other people to see just how amazing you looked. Um, but is there anything else that you would like to share, either about the warrior experience or any other women out there that is going through perhaps deciding a journey that they want to do if they find out they do have the ROC2 gene?
I think honestly, kind of the answer to both of those is like connection.
Yeah.
The warrior shoot was so awesome because there were the two other women there with me.
Right.
And even though I had never met them, we just kind of all instantly meshed and connected and had a fun time together.
Yeah.
And kind of connection, just as far as the rest of the road goes too.
Mm-hmm.
I joined a lot of support groups, even found some women local to me who have the BRCA2 gene, and having that connection and support, just camaraderie with other women
Yeah.
was huge.
Yeah.
So really, yeah, kind of connection with other people.
Yeah. I always tell people that it's always easier to burden a stranger than it is your own family or friends. So, like literally reaching out to people that were in our shoes, I love that because it is true. A lot of times, our family are going through their own journey of like
Mm-hmm.
their own understanding and what this actually means. Um, yeah, the community is just it's really amazing. And
Yeah.
I have had the privilege to get to know you as well. So thank you for being a part of my life now. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate you and all that good stuff.
Well, thank you for doing what you do. So I very much appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you appreciating me. No. Anyways, well, I will let you get back to the rest of your evening. But thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience with Warrior Women Portraits. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.